It was called the financial crime of the century, and the man behind it was Bernie Madoff. Well, now ABC is bringing his story to the big screen, and we were on the red carpet to speak with the cast. Get ready for a great night behind the velvet rope. When you get into this guy's story, I mean, the most infamous criminal, arguably, of our lifetime, at least financially, what was it like playing him?
A lot of fun. A lot of fun. I mean, that's the answer. I had fun playing Cheney, and I had fun playing Bernie Madoff, because I'm an actor, and I get to find really venal, dark, weird places in me, bring them out, and there you are, Bernie Madoff. And that's the fun part of being an actor.
But he wasn't an evil guy when you met him. He was just another guy. He had his good and his bad. Is there a way to still show that conflict, the good and the bad of Bernie Madoff?
No. He was all bad. And he just performed good. And he performed it brilliantly. But the fact is, he was without any empathy towards the people he scammed, and he scammed bat mitzvah girls with as much enthusiasm as he scammed institutions. And there is no side of him that can be forgivable. It was all a performance to cover the fact that he wanted $50 billion for his wardrobe. He didn't give it to anyone else. He used it all by himself.
Telling Ruth's story, Bernie and Ruth's story. I mean, we're talking about one of the most infamous criminal cases of all time, at least of our lifetimes. When you got into this as an actress, what was it like?
Well, I had the great opportunity to meet Ruth, which really did help a lot. I think when I went into it, I was very much on the fence as to whether she knew or whether she didn't know. Having met her, I was convinced that she didn't know. And I think the more we researched and delved into it, when you're married to a sociopath and you've been living with him, known him since you're 16, and in love with him, and a man who was very seductive to a lot of people, which is how he was so successful. The people that I met that knew him said he was incredibly down to earth and charming. You never would have dreamed that he would be
Bernie Madoff.
Able to do such a thing.
Who is Gregory Perkins, and what does he play in Madoff?
He's a composite of a bunch of financiers who, in order to cut the script down, and also because that's what I've been told to say, and but it is partly that. I mean, there are only so many people you could bring. You can only have so many people showing up at the table going, here's another person. But he's pivotal. My character is pivotal in the fact that he delivers Elie Wiesel, who is kind of a face of the Holocaust and has this foundation, and delivers him and his money to Madoff.
Talk to me about, this guy is, you're talking about one of the most infamous criminals of our lifetime. What was it like digging into the story and telling it?
Well, what I understood early on was he wasn't apparently a criminal to anyone. He was the guy who you met at your friend's wife's bar mitzvahs or wedding party. He was the nice middle-class accountant who everyone trusted. So evil sometimes comes in the guise of like the person you can trust the most, and that's who Bernie was. Now, when I heard that Richard Dreyfuss wanted to do it, I was so eager to do it because I was like, this is the right way. Richard Dreyfuss is adorable. Why wouldn't you give him your check? So I thought that's the way to do Bernie Madoff.
What was it like telling it?
It was actually such an exciting adventure because everyone knew the story. Sometimes people say, what are you working on? I'm doing this indie film and no one's ever heard of it. And it's about this really random. This was a story I'm doing a story about Bernie Madoff, and instantly people are intrigued. Instantly people want to know more about it. And then you get to say, and it's with Richard Dreyfuss and Blythe Danner, and people really go nuts. So I was really excited about that. And also for me, to be quite honest, Tom's a big finance guy. He has a degree in finance from Notre Dame. I practically failed math class, so I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on. I went, oh yeah, a lot of rich people lost their money, whatever. But then when I actually started working on this project and learned about all of the victims who were not billionaires who lost $1 billion and still had a couple more billion left in the bank, but actually people who didn't even know that their money was invested, that was the part that really sucked me in emotionally and made me really care even more for the victims of his crimes, is the fact that there were people who lost everything and didn't have billions of dollars. They were hardworking Americans who had worked their entire lives, put their money away where they thought it was safe, and then someone else took it and invested it with the wrong guy, and then they ended up penniless. And that is a true crime that I don't feel everyone has been properly punished for.
For me, I was learning as I went, as the script, revealed to us the whole time. I mean, through everybody's performance and all, because there's a lot that I'd never understood about, what was in the newspapers, and now being in the film and seeing how the script was done and what happened behind the scenes, kind of unbelievable, a little mind blowing actually.
Yeah, and the family dynamic is also something that I think is going to come as a shock to a lot of people. How someone can perpetrate such an enormous crime and yet keep that from his family, and yet they're so involved in their own way. It's devastating.
The incredible thing about this story is how simple it was, isn't it?
Holy moly, I'm like, why didn't I think of it? Oh, because I'm moral. Anyway, so...
Did it blow your mind as you got into it? Obviously, we know the public scandal of
Right.
it, but did it blow your mind to see the actual dynamics of it?
Yes, it did. It really did. And I find that I believe the reporting that was done that allowed this story to come forward and the consequent book that came out of it and then this script, I think they really tried very hard to show the dynamics that exist within the family, so that it's really a very sad tale of a family imploding. That's at the heart of it, and then all the damage that came out of that.
Well, I play someone who falls in love with him and then falls out of love with him. So in a way it was natural for me because I loved his charm and who he was. I mean, Richard is very charming. And then to realize what he did, including to me, and first and foremost to me and to the organization that I got him involved with, I could really hate him.